Independent grind powered by Tech 9.
All right, so I understand that not only do you rap and make your own music, but you also produce and engineer for other artists. Whenever you're doing any of these, do you have a preference? I mean, do you prefer rapping over engineering, or one or the other? How does all that work for you?
Well, I like engineering my own stuff because it makes it a lot easier for me to get what I want. And I definitely enjoy doing my own music over engineering, but the art of engineering and the technical side of it, I'm really into that. It's something that I did a lot of, earlier on in my career for other artists, but it's not something I'm trying to do too much of at this juncture. Right now I'm just trying to push my album and keep working on my own stuff. But I'm sure the opportunity will come in the future for me to engineer some more, and hopefully it's with Twisted or anybody over there. Really, I'd work with anybody on the label to do that. But it's a tedious process, so it's like you got to be a little committed or a little fucking insane to really engineer a whole album for somebody else. But fuck it, I'll do it. I'll do it again one day. You know what I'm saying?
Did you start off as an engineer, or did you start off creating music and then learn engineering?
Well, we started recording our own music a long time ago on fucking Tascam 4-track tape recorder. So we learned early on how to engineer that, and then the next thing we got was like a Boss 8-track digital recorder, and we learned that, and so on and so forth, all the way up till we got Pro Tools. So I definitely started like making music first, but it almost went hand in hand, you know what I mean? The whole engineering aspect as far as recording goes. But once I learned Pro Tools from a dude, I learned how to use Pro Tools from my boy Kuma in Detroit. And Kuma taught me how to use Pro Tools. He taught me how to use Ableton. Like this was like 2005. I learned all that shit, 2006. So that was like a whole different monster. And that's how I was able to, like, learning those programs is how I was able to, like, have a job engineering and producing records and shit. It's dope. I just watched a documentary about Jimmy Iovine. I guess he was a fucking engineer back in the day before he was just an executive or whatever. And it was just, like, inspiring as hell. It kind of made me want to engineer a little more. But also, I would get trapped back in the day at my old job, like engineering sessions all day and all night and making thousands of fucking show tapes and shit. And that shit totally sucked like the life and the fun out of the studio for me. So I'm trying to avoid it right now. Yeah. But yeah, engineering is dope. It's a dope talent to have. Hopefully one day I could open a studio and parlay that into a business. You know what I mean? But for now, fuck it.
Yeah, actually, I just watched the Defiant ones too, and it was fucking those early stories of him like engineering for the Beatles, or like I think it was
like Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, and that's great. And even like working with Bruce, he said like I'd be like, oh my god, that's a dream come true. And for him, he talked about like how tedious it was. So it's like interesting, and like you think of being in the studio is so exciting as like a fan, but like when you're engineering stuff, it's like pretty tedious. And I guess for you running along with
I couldn't imagine how ruthless it was back in the day on like analog tape. You know what I'm saying? Recording instruments, every instrument you're recording, it's either mic'd up or it's, someone's really playing it. There's no like programming going on. It's just like fucking you and the board and the analog tape and all that shit. Like the only analog I've ever fucked with was that 4-track back in the day. And that was made easy for you, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't imagine the difference in like even Dre. When Dre engineers, he's not sitting at a computer, he's sitting at a board, all old school style. That shit's just fresh to me. I don't know. I'm a Pro Tools guy, so I don't know if I could ever do that shit. But it's all the same in theory. When you see a big board and you see all those rows of knobs and buttons, it's just one row repeated over and over again. Mm-hmm. So you learn that first row and you know how to, do the whole thing basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tweak your sounds, and it's doing the same thing the plugins on the computers are doing. It's just doing it manually. You feel me? So I'd assume it's more difficult, but fuck, man, that might be something I get into in the future. That fucking documentary is great, though.
Yeah, it's
Y'all
crazy.
watch Defiant ones if nobody's seen it. That shit is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't realize like how many hits Jimmy Iovine like is behind, and they were going through like all the ones in the early 2000s. And I just like, man, like I remember growing up with this music.
Before he even started, before the 90s even happened, he had hits, man. It's crazy.
And so
it's
sort
an
of
inspiring fucking documentary.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's interesting because, like, you know, Dre obviously engineers his stuff. And I always wonder, and it's the same for you since you engineer your own stuff. Is that difficult or challenging in any way? And, like, I know on the one hand, you talked about how you can get the sounds that you want, but, like, how is it difficult when you're that close to it?
It is when the microphone is in the booth and you're alone and you're recording out of the control room. You know, there are times where I would hit record way earlier in the track and then run into the mic booth, and by the time I got in there and got the headphones on, it was time to start rapping. You know what I'm saying? And that shit was always a pain in the ass. But I quit doing that. I take my laptop now and I'll record everything. You know, I'll have a music stand or a desk that's raised. You know what I'm saying? Right there next to me, and I'll record it into the Pro Tools on my laptop right there in the booth. Or I'll bring the mic out into the control room. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that shit makes it a lot easier. When I record on my laptop, I just get the raw tracks in there, and then I export them all into a bigger computer like the one at the Dojo Studio at MME, and I fucking mix them in there. You know what I'm saying? So mixing, I like to be in a big room with as much fucking power as I can. Recording, all I really need is the little laptop setup. But yeah, it's actually, now that I've been doing it for so many years, it's pretty fucking easy. It's easier than engineering someone else because there's no conversation involved. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For sure. Yeah. No.
Like, fuck it.
Yeah, and you know exactly how you want it to sound, and you can kind of bring it to life.
Yeah.
You've mentioned, you know, obviously, and a lot of the people that are going to be listening know that you've signed to Majik Ninja. You've been on there for a little while now.
Yep.
I kind of want to talk about just, you know, everything, just that relationship in general, how it's been since you've signed, and I guess kind of what the difference is, you know, from being an independent artist and going and signing to a label,
right.
Kind of how that helps you out.
Yeah, fuck. Well, I've been doing the label thing, you know, with other companies for a long time, so I was accustomed to it being one way, but then. And that way was like hard and fucking ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But then I clicked up with these guys, started doing this Majik Ninja thing. And like, honestly, you know, back when I was 16, 17 and I first got my first record deal and I thought it was a dream come true. This record deal with these people is the real dream come true, fucking however many years later. Because what it is it's like everything you would expect to happen is actually happening. So these guys actually, you know, promote my albums and actually help me fucking book concerts, and we're in contact with each other every day, making sure that something is moving forward for Young Wicked as an artist, and that's an amazing feeling. Not to mention the fact that on a business level, they're actually like taking care of me. It's, you know, I go out, I do work, I sell a product, and then I get my cut of the profits of that product, and it's just like, I know that all sounds normal, mm-hmm. but for somebody who's been in the game for a long time, you know, it's just like a fucking uphill battle, and not everybody is going to treat you appropriately. You know what I'm saying? But these guys do, and it's such a fucking breath of fresh air. I can't even explain it. And the relationship is the shit. I've known my manager, George. He's the head of MME, and he's also my manager. I've known him for years. And he called me when I became a free agent. We started talking, and it just became a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like on a personal level, all them guys are really easy to talk to. I can be myself around them. You know what I mean? And everybody's got each other's back. Everyone's rallying and pushing each other to work harder and jumping on tracks with each other. Like that's the best way to describe it, man. A fucking dream come true. Like Tech Nine, he says, strange music saved my life. That's the same for me and Majik Ninja, dog. For real, though. For real. They gave me a second chance to really do this properly. And so far, it's fucking working out great.
Were you at all apprehensive about signing? I guess just like I know some artists who sign a deal and it doesn't work out the way they expect. Sort of apprehensive to go to the next one. Did you find that to be the case?
Honestly, I couldn't say I was, because George knew what I was coming from and what I went through. And he, you know, coming up and everything. And he's been through a lot of similar shit. And I just, you know, over the years being able to get to know George, I just trust him. I've been trusted him since before we even started working on this label deal that we got now. So it was a really easy decision for me, straight up. I was pretty fucking excited.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome, and it seems like a really good fit. And like you said, you can definitely tell the family atmosphere kind of within Majik Ninja. You know, we've talked to guys like Lex the Hexmaster, Gmo Ski, and it's always they're just, you just kind of reiterated everything that they said. Like it's really the merch is there. They're really taking care of people on tour, taking their people on tour. So that's dope to hear. It's going well.
I've seen an interview with Travis O'Gwyn before where he was talking about, labels and companies leaving money on the table and shit, and how they don't do that. And that's the same at MNE. Like they don't waste any opportunity. You won't be at a show doing a show and not have your merch. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just like crazy. Yeah. And that makes perfect sense. It's all, when you think about it, it's all real simple shit. But the rap game is a weird fucking place, so you kind of got to get with the right people if you're gonna make it work. If you're not with the right people, you're gonna end up scrubbing it, doing shows with no merch. You know what I'm saying? It's like fuck that. Yeah. But yeah, it's worked out great. We put out an album almost the day we announced that I was signed. We dropped the first album, the EP called Vengeance. And since then, we've put out a bunch of shirts, a bunch of merch, and then we just dropped the new shit, Return of the Prodigal Son. It's fucking banging. It hit the charts. It's the shit, man. It's doing good.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm fucking psyched.
Definitely. Congrats on that. And that, I mean, that's really exactly what we're wanting to get into a little bit is hear a little bit more about the album. I know it's been out for about 2 weeks now. Return of the Prodigal Son. How does it feel to have the album out now?
Good, man. It was a real hard time making it. A lot of fucking crazy shit was going on in the Juggalo world as I was making that album, and I put my fucking blockers on, and just didn't pay attention to none of the noise or nonsense and just recorded, and I liked it. I feel like the album is like a breath. It's like an exhaling of all the shit that I've been feeling over the last fucking year or so. You know what I mean? And it's a real, it's a personal look into how I'm doing shit and how I'm seeing shit. Because I don't be getting on the internet responding to a bunch of shit all the time. So I put all my feelings in the album. You know what I mean? And it feels good to have that out there. It's like a fucking weight off my shoulders, and now I'm making new music. My new shit is just sounding like fucking hyped up and amped up, and like, the best way to describe it is I'm like shining out here. You know what I'm saying? Like I can feel that shit. I can feel the shine coming out my chest when I'm rapping, and I'm hearing my new shit, and I'm like, damn, this is dope. I'm getting reports that the shit we just put out is doing good. It's like I can't express how much more positive everything has gotten for me since signing with these guys and putting out these 2 albums. And it's like every fucking step of the way I get a call from George and he's like, this is going on or that's going on. Every step is a step up, you know what I mean? Step in the right direction. So it feels great, man. Having an album out feels fucking awesome. People are buying it. People are going to the record store and buying it. That's fucking cool, you know what I mean? That people will go out in the world and buy a CD still. I love that shit.
Oh yeah.
It's been out for about 2 weeks now, and I guess sort of you talked a little bit about hearing fans going out and buying stuff. I guess how have your expectations sort of met reality, or like did you perceive the album any different before it came out, and now that it's been out for a few weeks, you feel a different way about it?
Well, honestly, I never really think about like sales going into it. I just hope for the best and try to promote it as hard as I can. So the fact that it's done what it has already, I'm fucking psyched. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like it was number 1 on the Heat Seeker chart. And I've never been number 1 on any Billboard chart. So that was fucking cool, regardless of if it ain't the top 200 or whatever, you know what I mean? I was just like, this is fucking great. We're doing it right. We're on our way. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to keep on doing that, putting out dope shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's fucking, as far as my expectations go, I didn't expect people to, as modest or whatever as it sounds, I'm my own biggest critic. So I really didn't expect people to like it as much as they do in comparison to my previous album. But people were like, this one is smashing your old shit. and people are telling me it's like fucking, you know, a great moment for me, like a great achievement putting this music out. So I'm like, fuck yeah. You know, when I hear it from other people, that's when I start to believe it, you know?
For sure. Yeah. That's always the, you know, best way to do it. I'm sure that's gotta be an incredible feeling. Exactly like you're saying. One of the things I'm always kind of curious about is like the sleepers on the project, or were there any songs that, you're hearing a lot of talk about that are kind of fan favorites that are catching you off guard?
Well, everybody loves the Still I Rise track with Jamie and Ritz, but I kind of expected them to love it because, like, us three together on a song, chopping it up, it's really fucking dope, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But there's one on there, it's called Stronger in the Finish, and I'm basically singing through the whole thing, and I even put the auto-tune on it. It sounds like, I don't know, it's hard to describe this track. It sounds like you're fucking walking down the street at night in the rain, smoking a cigarette, and you're fucking like reminiscing about all the hardship you went through, but you're going to be stronger in the finish. And as you're reminiscing, the whole thing is like, you're reminiscing an auto-tune basically. Yeah. But it's dope. It's dope. I was worried about that one because I'm like, I don't know how people are going to react to me singing with auto-tune. You know what I'm saying? I've sang plenty on my records, but I didn't know what they were thinking about the auto-tune. And motherfuckers loved it, man. People were big up in that track. So that was a big surprise to me. And I talked to my manager, and we're in the talks of doing a video for that song now. So I'm excited about that because I'm excited to see if we can make a video that translates to like the feeling and the vision that I get in my head when I listen to that song. This whole nighttime fucking rainy, foggy flavor that just the song kind of makes you feel, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I can't wait to do that shit and release it on the world, and people are feeling it, man. There's another one called Carry On at the end that people hit me up with a lot of feedback about that song, telling me it fucking put them in tears and it helps them get through losing somebody and all this shit. And I'm just like, you know, that's an extremely rewarding feeling to make music and put your heart into something and it affects somebody else's heart that way. It's fucking awesome, dog. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why every artist kind of gets into it, is to get those, you know, reactions from people about like the really personal like, songs and reactions. But going back to Still I Rise, I want to touch on that one just because, you know, the strange music connection with Ritz, and obviously, and I mean, I swear to God, that's like, he sounds so perfect over that beat. Did you design that with him in mind? Because he really does fit that perfectly. And I guess, how did you link up with him and get him on that track?
Yeah, I made the track hoping that we would have Ritz on it. I knew I would be able to get Jamie on it. That's my boy, you know, but I hadn't really have an open relationship with Ritz until, I mean, we've met a few times, but it was like, we're stepping out, we're going to ask him if he'll do this track. And he fucking came through for us and murdered it, man. It's like probably one of the best verses on the entire album. He just ripped it apart. When I heard his shit, I had to go back and rewrite some of my shit. And then Jamie's shit came through. I had to go back and rewrite some more of my shit. But at the end of the day, it fucking came together great. And yeah, I totally 100% made the track hoping that he would do it. So I had him in mind the whole time. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big fan of Ritz music. So to be able to make a beat and that he's spitting on, it's just like dope as fuck, let alone doing the fucking song. You know, it's my song. I can't, you know, it's the shit. And right now, speaking of that song, right now we got this thing. I did a video of me spitting my verse from it. And it's like a fast chopping verse, so it's like hard to do it all in one breath. And I challenge the internet, like any fans who want to try it and just hashtag Still I Rise challenge in their video of them doing it. We've got a few submissions so far, and they're fucking awesome. One dude from Australia did it, and he's got this fresh ass accent. It's fucking dope. But yeah, so I want to shout that out. If anybody, you know, go to Young Wicked 303 on fucking Facebook and check that out, because it's fun. It's just something fun for the fans. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love that song like to death. To the point where I'm hoping we talked about making a vinyl, like a 7-inch vinyl of that song alone, and releasing it to the collectors. You know what I mean?
No shit.
So that's gonna be dope. And fucking, we made a cover for it. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of sitting on the whole idea for a second because we're just gonna keep pushing the album. But you know, in a month or so, we're gonna drop that exclusive flavor, hopefully, and you know, all the real diehard fans and the collectors can grab that up. And fuck, it's just a dream. It's just another dream come true for me having that track. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, definitely. No, and it came out dope. And yeah, for all the fans out there, definitely I'm sure everybody would love to see the Still I Rise challenge and get to hear some fans chopping it up their own way.
It's fucking fresh, man. One guy, this dude from California who's been like a fan of mine for years, did it, and his mom's is a fan too, and she's in the video too. It's so fresh because there's these two parts where you need like another guy to be like, yeah, to do this little ad lib where it goes, yeah, and he had his mom's do it, and she's so fresh for doing that. I was like, fuck yeah.
That's
it's
awesome,
fun, man.
Yeah, definitely.
We're bringing some fun and some fucking enjoyment back to this shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, for sure. No, and it's cool to see fans get involved, and you guys have a really loyal fan base. So that's awesome to see that they're digging the album and wanting to be a part of it as well as everybody else. Well, I think as far as that goes, I think that's pretty much all the questions that we have for you. But is there anything else you'd like to say about the album or anything else that you've got coming up?
Man, I just want to shout out everybody at Strange. Thank you for fucking doing this interview with me and, everything. I got to kick it with Tech last time he came through Grand Junction, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Everybody over there, just God bless y'all, man. It's fucking dope what you're doing. And we're happy to be working with y'all. And then I want to shout out my Majik Ninja Entertainment family, George and Twisted, everybody holding me down, you know what I'm saying? And all the fans, all the family that's buying my album. Some people buy like 3 of them. And motherfuckers are really supporting and helping keep me up. I just want to say thank you to everybody. And that's it, man. Go to youngwicked.com. You can get to all my other shit from there. And I'm going to keep on pushing this wicked shit best way I know how. You know what I'm saying?
This is the genius, Chris Calico.
Cali, baby.
Letting you know you're tuned into Tech Nine's Independent Grind on Dash Radio. Ah!